Hi, everyone. Welcome back. It's Tuesday, so that means we are going to deep dive on something interesting, most likely within the gut. Today, we are doing a deep dive on Candida. And for those of y'all that are watching or tuning in today, Candida is basically a yeast overgrowth. Candida lives in all of us. It's supposed to be there. The problem isn't its actual presence, it's when it starts acting like a bad roommate. He takes over the whole apartment. We all know that person, right? That takeover is what we call Candida overgrowth, and it can impact digestion, hormones, mood, immunity, and even your ability to lose weight. So, today we're going to deep dive into what triggers Candida overgrowth, how it disrupts different systems in the body, and why biofilms matter, and the step by step path to treating it the right way so it doesn't keep coming back. And I have to add, Candida is a pain. It is a bugger to eradicate and get rid of. So for it to continue to come back is very, very common. So first, let's talk about what Candida actually is. Candida is a yeast, which is part of the normal gut ecosystem. You want to think of your gut like a busy city. And yes, I love my analogies. Bacteria is like the citizens in the city. Yeast is like the different businesses in the city. And your immune system is basically like city security. So security, like it secures the city down and monitors, almost kind of like the police. And then your gut lining is essentially the city walls. So when everything runs smoothly, Candida minds its own business. But when the city security gets distracted, Candida sees an opportunity and starts expanding its territory. Now, let's talk about what lets Candida take over. You want to think of these as the conditions that let the bad roommate spread out. The first very common one is antibiotics. So, common or a history of antibiotics. They wipe out bacteria, but not yeast. So, imagine firing all the good employees and then leaving all the troublemakers in charge. That can become a problem. And then the second thing driver is high stress plus cortisol. Stress lowers stomach acid and then in turn weakens immune surveillance. And then you have birth control or hormone shifts. Estrogen can actually help Candida stick to the gut lining more easily. And then diets high in sugar and refined carbs. So yeast, that is yeast's favorite fuel source. They feed off of carbs and sugar. Like that is literally like a party to them. And then you have low stomach acid. Low stomach acid, it ends up when stomach acid is low, it removes a major barrier meant to keep yeast controlled. And then, of course, you have gut dysbiosis. When gut dysbiosis is present, it's basically weakens the competitive ecosystem. Now, if you find yourself having, some of the common symptoms that are associated with candida that may seem random to you, but they're actually not very random, but they may seem like to you. But candida symptoms usually don't just show up as digestive issues. They can have more of a ripple effect. So you would find yourself dealing with bloating, especially after carbs, fatigue that feels like you're walking through sludge. And then you have foggy brain or memory issues. So just the constant brain fog and the memory issues. And you have cravings for sugar or bread that feel not like you. Say like you've never really been a big carb person or a sugar person, but yet all of a sudden, like that's all you crave, like that's all you want, that's all you think about. Or you're experiencing rashes, eczema, or fungal skin issues. Recurrent yeast infections, that is a big one. That is a very, very common one. Sinus congestion is another one. Weight loss resistance, anxiety or irritability, joint pain, constipation or diarrhea. A lot of women say, I feel inflamed, puffy, foggy, and I keep craving sugar even though I don't want it. That's not an actual lack of willpower, y'all. That's the yeast talking. Candida can actually signal the body to crave what it wants to eat. Now, candida Candida doesn't just float around freely. It builds biofilms, which are like slimy shields or fortresses that protect it from things like herbal antimicrobials, antifungal medications, your immune system, and even oxygen. You want to think of biofilms like a layer of cling wrap coating the yeast colonies. So if you don't break down this cling wrap, your treatment barely is going to reach the target. This is why so many people repeatedly treat candida and it keeps coming back because they never address the biofilm layer. Now, some of the common biofilm disruptors that are typically used, the first one would be NAC, and then you have enzymes like serapeptase and interface plus. You have certain essential oils, and then you have specific fungal yeast binders. Now, candida can impact other systems within the body. It doesn't just politely stay in the gut. When it's overgrown, it can affect multiple systems. The first one being your immune system. Candida overgrowth overstimulates the immune system like a toddler banging pots and pans at 6 a.m. Nobody wants to hear that. Your immune system becomes hypervigilant and inflamed, which in turn can trigger food sensitivities, histamine intolerance, autoimmune flares, seasonal allergies that seem to be getting worse, chronic sinus issues. It can also weaken your immune system long term because your immune system ends up getting stuck in that fight mode, the fight or flight mode. And then the second system is your hormones. Candida messes with hormones in two major ways. The first one, it can disrupt estrogen detox, which in turn can lead to estrogen dominance. And then it creates inflammation, which in turn throws off cortisol and thyroid signaling. This is why many women in perimenopause suddenly feel like their symptoms intensified. Candida plays into weight gain, mood swings, and sleep issues. And then the third system that it affects is your blood sugar. Candida loves sugar, y'all. Like it is his favorite food. And it doesn't just wait for you to eat it. It influences your blood sugar regulation by creating cravings, worsening insulin resistance, making you feel shaky or irritable between meals. It's like having a tiny sugar addicted creature inside you tugging at your cravings all day long. The fourth system that it can impact is your gut lining and digestion. Candida can damage the gut lining and contribute to leaky gut, food sensitivities, poor nutrient absorption, IBS like symptoms, and low stomach acid. So, when the gut lining is compromised, everything downstream ends up becoming harder. Now, let's talk about how you can treat candida the right way, not the internet way, the right way. The biggest mistake that I see people make is jumping straight into antimicrobials and antifungals. Candida treatment, y'all, is a layered process, not a quick cleanse. I wish it was a quick cleanse. It would just be make my life so much easier, but it's not. The first step is to stabilize and prep the terrain. So before you start killing anything, you want to make the environment less friendly for yeast. So you want to regulate your blood sugar. You want to increase protein, reduce sugar and refined carbs. You bring in gentle binders, support liver detox, and normalize stomach acid. Think of it like you wouldn't clean out a flooded basement while water's still pouring in. So first you stop the leak, stabilize the space, then you clean. The second step is to break up the biofilms. This is the remove the cling wrap step. So without this step, Candida hides and waits for treatment to end. Products vary, but this step often includes specific enzymes or NAC, like I had mentioned. The third step then is antifungal or antimicrobial phase. Now, once the shield is broken, now the tools can work. So common herbal antifungals are berberine, oregano oil, caprylic acid, black walnut, biocidin, garlic extract, undesalinic acid, and you often want to rotate them so candida doesn't adapt. So this is phases where people feel the infamous die-off, which is usually your detox system working overtime, and in turn, it can kind of make you feel a little flu like you feel poor, You might feel sick, kind of flu-like, just basically kind of like crap. Not everybody. Some people will feel it worse than others, but you're not going to feel good. The fourth step is to support your detox pathways. You want dead yeast out of the body, not recirculating in the body. This means you want to support your liver, the lymphatic system, gut motility, kidneys. And then simple supports that you can start immediately are hydration, sweating, castor oil packs, binders, minerals, and protein for phase two liver detox. Like those are very, very simple and very doable. Now, the fifth step of eradicating candida is to rebuild the microbiome. So after clearing the overgrowth, you don't need to leave a blank slate. Like you want to specifically rebuild with targeted probiotics, prebiotic fibers. Now you have to be careful and do this slowly to ensure that candida is gone, because if not, this can actually feed candida. Um, Fermented foods, same thing, if tolerated. And then gut lining support like L-glutamine, zinc carnosine, aloe. This step is actually what prevents relapse. And then the sixth step is address the root cause, y'all. Candida is rarely the primary issue. It's almost always secondary to something else, like low stomach acid, thyroid dysfunction, high stress, high estrogen, antibiotic history, mold exposure, dysbiosis, blood sugar imbalance, poor detox capacity, MCAS or immune dysregulation. Candida is actually very, very opportunistic. It only takes over when the terrain allows it to. You want to kind of think of your gut like a garden. Candida is a weed, but weeds don't just grow just because they exist. They grow when the soil is off, the environment is right, other plants, like good bacteria, aren't thriving, or the gardener, like in this case, the immune system, is overwhelmed. True candida healing is not about killing the weed, it's about changing the soil so the weed doesn't grow back. So if you think you're dealing with candida or you see parts of your own story in what I shared today, you do not have to guess your way through it or try random supplements hoping something sticks. I help women uncover why this is happening, what's feeding it, and what needs to shift in your gut, immune system, hormones, and daily patterns so that you can finally get lasting relief. So if you want support, functional testing, or help navigating a personalized protocol, just message me the word Candida and I'll send you the details. Let's get you feeling clear, energized, and back in control again.